All right, this is it. My name's Jeff K, and you're listening to episode 330 of the world-famous West Virginia Surf Report podcast.
Hello, world.
What's the worst job you ever had? When you think back, just think back to the beginning. What's the one that sticks out as, yep, that's the one that sucked the most. That's the one I liked the least. That's the one that, that is clearly the worst one. Hopefully you didn't have so many jobs that sucked that you have to decide, I don't know, which one is the worst of those. I mean, they're all, those three right there are a demoralizing, ball-crushing experience. You know, hopefully, I only had one of those. I had some terrible jobs. But you know what? Some of those jobs, I don't like when people say, but you know what? I can't believe I just said that. I don't like that. That's one of my pet peeves. You know what? I don't like that. It's overused. Anyway, I feel so dirty. I'm ashamed of myself. Anyway, I've had some jobs that were terrible, but there's a shitload of great stories came from them, and I worked with people like Fast Check, for instance, a grocery store in West Virginia. That job was terrible. They paid me the least amount of money that the government would allow. That I got verbally abused on a regular basis by at least semi-alcoholic management team, at least, and I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt there, and and the place was filthy. I was working with people that should probably have been in an asylum, some of them, and that job was not good. That was not a good job, but it was kind of fun. Because it was so insane, and I have so many great stories from that place, and I got to work with like my friends, and I got to work with Rocky, who took see, I don't want to start off. Let's start going off on these Fast Check stories, like those milk cartons with the kids' faces on the side of them. Says kids that are missing. I used to put their faces on the side of milk cartons. And what the hell's that? Just think about that. It's bizarre. Anyway, it had these kids on there that had been missing for a period of time on the side of milk cartons. Rocky would take a Sharpie and write "dead" across their face. Put the milk carton back on the shelf. People would flip out. Anyway, so that job was terrible, but it wasn't the worst one, because I had fun there. If you're having fun, it's not the worst job, right? All right. And also, there was another candidate in Dunbar, but these are jobs when I was young and I wasn't really, I worked at this I only worked there 6 months, so at this stupid convenience store. That was right before I left West Virginia. My girlfriend at the time was getting ready to graduate from college. She had her shit together. She was ready to move into the adult phase of her life. I was stuck in adolescence or something. I don't even know. I mean, she had her shit together. My shit was scattered, all across from here to there. I had nothing going on. I was working minimum wage at a convenience store overnight, and it was, I was panicking. I was scared. Like, this is not good. We're going to be in two different areas, two different sections of our lives, and this isn't ever going to work, and I got to do something. My life is like dwindling away. I've got nothing going on. I was like panicked. And then one night some guy came in there and pointed a gun at my face. I said, that's enough. I've had enough. I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm gonna do something super dramatic, and I'm gonna I got to do something. I can't do this anymore. I'm on a road to nowhere, and I got to do something. So I moved to North Carolina with, with a guy. Well, it was 4 of us went over there and tried to get jobs. two of me and this guy named Gary got we got an apartment together, and we got jobs at this grocery store called Food Lion. It's in Greensboro, and that is the worst job I ever had in my life. That was the worst. I mean, I was making $3.35 or something, $3.50. I think I was making $3.50 an hour at that convenience store in West Virginia. There were no jobs there. You couldn't find a job at that point. I mean, every business that you went into had a sign on the door that said "not hiring." That was the state of the economy. Like every store, every business that you walked into, there's a sign right as you push open the door. It says "not hiring." So don't even come in here and ask. We're tired of answering this question. No, we don't have any jobs here. So there was no jobs. Even if you had some shit job where you get a pistol shoved in your face in the middle of the night by some drunken hick, better hang on to it, because there might not be another one. At least you're making something. At least you have some kind of income. You walk away from this and you might not have anything, for a long, long time. So I got the hell out of West Virginia. And out of that situation, I did a Hail Mary pass to try to get some kind of jump start my adult style. I'm not saying adult. I'm saying adult style job or life, So moved to Greensboro, got this job at this Food Lion, and I was making something like $7.87 or something. It seemed like an enormous amount of money. I was like, holy shit. How do they pay these kinds of wages? How do they stay in business? This is unbelievable. This is like a different world, I mean, I knew nobody that I knew was making that level of income, I mean, I'm talking about people my age. I'm not talking about adults. So I went over there. I was like, holy crap, man, this is good. This is going to be good. And they told you about all the stuff like the 401k, they match it. So if you start, at your age, if you start putting in money, on day one, you could retire a millionaire. You could be a millionaire. I was like, a millionaire? I was like all in on this thing. I went over there. It was, I mean, from day one, it sucked, and it got worse as I went along. My buddy, well, he was a coworker. He wasn't really my buddy, but he's a good guy named Gary. The guy I got the apartment with, we were roommates. He also got a job at Food Lion, but it was a different store, so we weren't working in the same store. And but he was doing the exact same thing. We were stock boys, basically, worked overnight. So I went out at 11 o'clock and worked until supposedly 7, I think is what they said, 11 to 7 if I remember correctly. However, it wasn't always 7. It was until you got your work done. So you might be there till 9, you might be there till 8, sometimes you get off actually at 7. Okay, so that sucked. You never knew when you were going to get off, right? And also, they wouldn't let you work 1 minute of overtime. So if you got behind, and you worked as a crew. You didn't work like you didn't work. It's hard to explain, but you were in charge of something specific, but all the work had to be done as a crew, So if you got behind and you had to stay till 9. Then you had to shave 2 hours off, but you had to get your work done. So, I mean, it sucked. So you had to manage. I mean, it was a time management thing. You couldn't work 1 minute overtime. They would fire you if you worked 1 minute of overtime. And I saw them do it, So there were people punching out and then going back to work, right? They would work off the clock. And it was like high pressure. All right, so you go in there and they trained me. I don't remember. I don't even remember being trained. But I was put in charge of it was called the soap aisle. It was the aisle of the grocery store where they had laundry detergent and anything to do with soap, that kind of stuff. Cleaning supplies, all the cleaning supplies and all the soap stuff. And, it had bath soap. It had laundry stuff and I don't know, whatever. You know what I'm saying. So that's what I was in charge of. I was put in charge of that aisle, and I was responsible for that aisle. And I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, the training was not good, and it sucked. It was high. It was like manual labor, really hard. We were unloading trucks. Yeah, we're unloading trucks. I mean, you'd be like freaking tired. You'd be like burned out and broken down, by the time. Like, that would be the first thing you do. You walk in and you have to unload a truck, right? And you had to sort it. Everything had to be sorted into these different sections. Like, I had my own section of the warehouse, and it was just a small little footprint, right? So, and if it went outside the footprint, if you order, like, I had to order stuff too. Oh, God. It's hard to even explain it, but so I was in charge of ordering, I was in charge of cleaning, I was in charge of straightening, everything. Like, everything that happened in that aisle, it was me. That was my job. I managed it, I maintained it, and I didn't know what I was doing. And it sucked. It was hard work. My coworkers were not exactly, the most sophisticated people in the world. I was working with people who, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be mean, but these are not Rhodes Scholars. But they all did a better job than I did. I can tell you that much, because I didn't know what I was doing, and it was hard. It was like physical labor, unloading those trucks, like lumping big, like pallets of water coming off that thing. Like, everything's like super heavy, and you're just like, so the first thing you do when you get there, unload these trucks and sort the stuff out into different, like, open each box, cut the tops off each box, put it in the section it's supposed to go into, and then you start working on your aisle, and you go out there and you restock everything, and you clean. Everything had to be clean, everything had to be faced, everything had to be, and and then you order the stuff that you need, you think you're going to need. And you can't go outside that footprint in the warehouse. The footprint in the warehouse, that was what you had to work with. So you couldn't overorder, but mister, you better not underorder. You better not run out of something, because you'd have like upper management up your ass about it. So you got this asshole warehouse manager, this grizzled old fuck that works in there, like Sergeant Carter from the Gomer Pyle, This old guy, I guarantee he was like some kind of staff sergeant in the army or something in a previous life. And he was like, he'd bark at you, if you ordered too much. So you're walking this tightrope, right? And all right, okay. Here's the part that I never could get a handle on it. It was the bleach, like Clorox, and they had a store brand version of Clorox too. Just big bottles of bleach, right? Takes up an enormous amount of space. That thing's cost like 79 cents for this big jug, So it's like takes up a huge area, because these bottles are big. And so, you can only put like 12 bottles on the shelf at a time. And for whatever reason, that stuff sold hand over fist. Like, who buys bleach? I don't think in my entire life, I'm probably not a very good example, because I'm I'm barely an adult. I don't know, even now. But I have never in my life purchased a bottle of bleach. I mean, who's buying all this stuff? I mean, I know people buy it. I know people use it in their laundry, and they use it for other things too. But I don't, and I just can't imagine that many people. So the thing was out all the time, right? And it came in these giant boxes. They had 6 bottles in a box, and it took up a lot of space in the warehouse, And so I got that footprint problem. Sergeant Carter back there yelling at me, "Don't go outside! Don't go outside your lines!" So he's yelling at us not to go outside the lines, not to go out, beyond our footprint, and but at the same time, within an hour, you need to take another box of that stupid bleach out there, because the people of Greensboro buying bleach like the Russians are in Pittsburgh, as one of my coworkers used to say, you know. And it's like buying that stuff hand over fist. There's so much bleach being purchased. It's like, oh my God. So I don't know how to do this. I don't. What am I, like some kind of math genius? What am I? What is that guy's name? The Rain Man? God, the Water Man. What am I, the Rain Man? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what to do. I mean, I can't go. I got Sergeant Carter yelling at me on one side. I'm getting squeezed by him. And then I'm getting squeezed by reality. All these people buying all this bleach. I mean, it was maddening. Maddening. You know? Okay. So that part sucked, and it wore me down. I wouldn't get off work. I was tired all the time. There was not a moment of the day or night that I was not tired, sleepy, muscles aching, and I was in pretty good shape back in those days. I can't imagine if I tried to do that now, I'd probably be dead. I'd probably end up in some kind of a wheelchair situation. I'd probably be, paralyzed. But I was in pretty good shape back in those days, and I was still just tired all the time. And they played in the store. They played this top 40 radio station, and they played the same songs over and over and over. I mean, it was the same. It felt like, top 40 is what it was. That was the format. I don't think they played 40 different songs. I think they played like the top 10 maybe, over and over and over again. And every once in a while they just like feed another one in from the top 40 probably. But it was the same songs over and over again. And the big hits of that day, of that moment, of that era, was "We Built This City," that Starship song, which is always one of the worst songs of all time. If you see these lists, the worst songs of all time, "We Built This City" by Starship. That thing's terrible. I mean, when I hear that thing, it just gives me a full body shiver. It just takes me right back. Well, it's a sucking song to begin with. It's just the worst. But it also takes me right back to that Food Lion trying to walk a tightrope, a bleach tightrope, and I'm stressing out. I'm tired. I'm beaten down. I feel like somebody's just like taking me out back and just beat me with a tube sock full of nickels, just over and over. My body's all beat up. I'm stressed out. I'm tired. I'm sleep deprived. It sucks. It's the worst. It's the worst thing ever. Who's buying all this bleach? And they're playing "We Built This City" and this stupid song, "Broken Wings." There's a song, Mr. These are the songs that are getting played over and over and over again. Both those songs are triggering to me. Mr. What kind of garbage? I mean, it's like just constantly playing the same songs over and over. And I go on lunch break, and these guys are, I don't want to be mean, because they were nice. They were nice to me. But they're, you can't even have a conversation with these guys. They're like talking about, it's just like, they're kind of simpletons, It's like everything's sexual. Everything is talking sexual. Everything's or just stupid ass. Just stupid ass stuff. Like we were sitting out there. We used to have break out on. We'd sit up on the checkout counters because the store was closed. We'd just sit up there, and it had all those like National Enquirer type magazines. So we'd sit out there. We'd bring our own lunch. And we'd sit out there and eat a sandwich or something, and shoot the shit, And these guys are like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I like them, There's nothing. I had no issue with any of them. It's just, there's not much. You're not going to get much interesting. But there was on one of those magazines, those newspapers, those tabloid newspapers. There was this guy who didn't have a body. He was like standing on his hands, like he had no body from the torso down. Like he had no. He just had like a chest and a torso, but nothing below that. And he's standing there on his hands, right? And they were talking about that. That was pretty funny. And there was this one guy. They were talking about how he takes a shit. It's like the guy has no ass. They're talking about how he takes a shit. This is how. This is where it gets to. I mean, and I enjoyed that part. And I remember this guy. I can't remember his name. I don't know. It's been so long, but I remember him going. He got all exasperated and he goes, "No, man, a motherfucker can't shit if he ain't got no ass." I just remember him saying that. And he was like emphatic about it. I thought that was about the funniest thing I ever heard. And there was a guy too. He was like, "What are you doing, Jeff? Walking around here like one of them? What do you call them things? Zombies? Walking around like a zombie?" I said, "Yeah, I'm walking around like a zombie. Yeah, I feel like I've been beat with a bag of taters. I feel it sucks. It's a piece of shit job. There's a guy that worked in there, had BO. We'd be over unloading that truck. I'd be like, oh, God, I'm in hell. This is exactly what hell is. 787, it's not worth it. God, even I was, I had no time. Even I'm making all this money. Supposedly, it felt like a lot of money to me. And no time to spend any of it, just working all the time, sleeping. Oh my God, it sucked. It sucked so bad. And then I ended up going to Peaches, which is the record store that I worked at for a long time. I started working there part-time, believe it or not, because I wanted to get my foot in the door, right? I had to get my foot in the door, try to transition over from this hellish grocery store that I was working at into this record store. So I made a deal with the store director that I'd work Saturday and Sunday. So I was working 5 days a week at the Food Lion, and then I was working on the weekends at Peaches. And at some point I got offered a manager job at Peaches, and so I flip-flopped it. I started working full-time at Peaches, part-time at Food Lion, then eventually, over time, I was able to jettison that stupid-ass Food Lion out of my life, like completely out of my life. That was the worst job I ever had, by far. So, and I don't even have any good stories, really. I mean, I had that story. I mean, I don't know. It's not really, none of it's very good. It's not like the... working at Fast Check where I have like 10,000 stories of insanity that went on. I got nothing. It was just hard physical labor, and it was trying to manage that stupid ass bleach. And I got triggered when I see a bottle of bleach. I got triggered when I hear "We Built This City" or "Broken Wings" by Mr. Mister. I have post-traumatic stress, what is it? PT, post-traumatic stress disorder from that place. What's the worst job you ever had? Call in the hotline and let me know. I'd like to hear about it. Is it, you ever worked at a grocery store, like a big-time grocery store, where it was like super strict like that place? You got Sergeant Carter barking at you back there, yelling, you can't go outside the lines because they got like tape on the floor, and you got that section. You have to build it up, things like so. You had to go up instead of out, So I got stuff stacked all the way to the ceiling. Things gonna tip over and kill somebody, So I had to order all this bleach. It takes up a lot of space back there. You know what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? Anyway, let me know. If you want to share. Tell me what the worst job you ever had. Tell me a little bit. Tell me a reason why. Call us, 570-290-8151, and fill us in on that situation. And speaking of the hotline, we have another call from our old friend Ian in Scotland, and here it is.
Hey Jeff, it's Ian in Scotland, in the car. Beautiful evening, driving to Fife. HBO's The Walking Dead. That was the series that went on forever. I got sucked into that. It was really good, early days, and then just the same. Watch out for the zombie. Watch the zombie, and then just the script got really bad. The main characters died off. And yeah, I think I lasted till season 10. Something incredible. Until, yeah, just fuck that. You know, just too much. It's like Arcade Fire. They had a great lyric on their last album. Fuck season 5. We unsubscribed. Fuck season 5. It's like, you know, when you've got kids in the car and it's like, how much further? It's like, soon, we'll be there soon. How much further? Yeah, we'll be there soon. I think I was priming you as a kid for these bullshit series that go on forever, you know? How long has this got to go? Season 15? Man, it's just nonsense. Anyway, that's that. Yeah, so The Walking Dead. I don't know if it's still on, don't know if it's finished, don't care. I recognise now it's foolish and it's sucked up far too much of my life watching zombies. Anyway, so yeah, Aldi, yeah, that's good. That's my favourite shop. I think I sent you something about Aldi and Brewdog. So Aldi ripped off Brewdog, then Brewdog purposely ripped off Aldi, and then Aldi stocked that beer, which is quite funny. I went from this kind of feud to this kind of laugh, kind of humorous banter kind of thing they had. Quite funny, check that out. And they do good beer here. I don't know what the beer's like in Aldi, we call it, Aldi. I don't know what the beer's like across there, but they stock some pretty good beers from some kind of local breweries. Really good. Still my favourite shop. Cheap and unexpected. You can go there in there for milk and end up with a scuba diving suit. Depending on what they've got on offer, every week is a surprise in Aldi. I think that's us. Oh yeah, sticking with Succession. That's a good show. I recommended that a while ago. Brian Cox is from Dundee. And a lot of people in Dundee, I know a lot of guys like him, the way he is in that series, Succession. Fuck off. That's a Dundee thing. That's a much loved phrase here. Fuck off. Anyway, yeah, stick with it. And season 2, they come to Dundee, so watch out for that. Okay, mate, keep up the work. Bye.
Yeah, The Walking Dead. I was talking about a show I watched on HBO called The Last of Us. I finished it. That thing was excellent. I highly recommend that. It's a zombie show as well. You know, it's these people, some kind of fungus gets loose, gets up in people's brains, you know, just messes people up, turns them into zombies, you know, and then they eat each other and, you know, all this stuff. So it's about this guy and a little 14-year-old girl. They're traveling across the country, trying to get to this encampment where they can, where the girl, who is apparently immune to this fungus, because she's been bitten multiple times, she never gets the disease. So they're going to try to make some kind of vaccine out of her blood or something. So they're traveling across the country, and they're just encountering all kinds of nonsense. And it's a really good show. It's really well written, acted, etc., etc. It's highly recommended. The Last of Us on HBO. I was talking about that, and I was like, what was that other zombie show that was on forever and ever? That's right. I couldn't remember it. It's The Walking Dead. I actually saw maybe like half of the first season back when they had Netflix. Well, I guess they still do. When you used to be able to get like DVDs in the mail, which is what Netflix started out as. You know, you get the red envelope in the mail, and then you return it, and then they send you the next thing on your list. You know, remember those days? I know people that still do that. You know, I guess they're going to discontinue it soon, like September or something. But anyway, I think I watched like a half a season of that. I don't know, couldn't get into it. I mean, it was all right. I mean, I didn't hate it or anything, but so I don't really have too much experience with that show. But I know it went on and on and on, like you said, Ian. It went on and on and on and on. It's like, is it still on? I think it might still be on. I think it started when I was in high school. It feels like, and now it's still on. No, I don't know, that might be an exaggeration, but that shit went on forever. And I don't really have too much experience with it, but I was aware of it because everybody's talking about it. And there are a bunch of spin-offs. How do you spin off a zombie show? How do you do that? But anyway, yeah, I never watched that show, and I don't really have any interest in watching it ever. But The Last of Us, I would recommend that. That thing is solid as Sears. Remember that phrase? That thing is solid as Sears. And now Sears, out of business. It's no longer around. Not too solid anymore. But anyway, if you enjoyed the zombie stuff, that's a good one. The Last of Us. And I found I was digging through my stuff the other day. I was thinking about it for some reason, and I found my bootleg copy of Dawn of the Dead. Now that is the pinnacle. That is one of the greatest. I mean, that's a zombie movie as well. That is one of the greatest movies ever. That is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I'm not being ironic. That thing is fantastic. It's a zombie movie. It's kind of a follow-up to Night of the Living Dead, which was also great, but Dawn of the Dead is even better. I'm talking about the one that came out in 1978. I think it's been remade at least once. I'm talking about the original one, the George Romero. Night of the Living Dead, it's a classic, rightly so. But Dawn of the Dead, that thing's I don't know. I don't want to get all melodramatic about it. That thing's a piece of art. It's a work of art. It takes place in a shopping mall, and these people are holed up in this shopping mall, and they're zombie. It's great. The thing is so good. I mean, so good. Found my boot, and it's out of print. You can't find it anywhere. So I don't know if it's a bootleg or if it came from a different country or something. But I have a copy of it, and it's a pretty decent copy too. So it's hard to find. I think you can find it on eBay, but they're questionable origin. I don't think they're actually in print. But anyway, if you like zombie stuff, Dawn of the Dead, if you haven't seen it, fantastic. Highly recommended. You talking about Aldi? Yeah. Tony goes there, and I go there. I told you, I was talking about. I go there and buy an armload of those fraudulent cookies. They have this cookie aisle, and it's like all these like knockoffs of like national brands, and I might add Girl Scout cookies. They have their own versions of them, and they taste exactly like the originals. And they're cheap. And I don't do it very often because I don't need to be just like, powering down sacks of cookies. I mean, I'm already a portly lad, I don't need to do that anymore. So, but I go in there every once in a while, maybe like every 3 months I go in there and buy just a ton, like an armload of fraudulent cookies. That place is crazy. Like you said, you go in there, you don't know what they're going to have in there. It's bizarre. It's stuff from all over the world. There's stuff from, they have like, just like I said like Arabic toothpaste. They have like stuff like that, like toiletries that are from like foreign countries, like have foreign language. I don't know. It's like all kinds of weird stuff in there. And they have other stuff too. And everything I've had, I have limited exposure to it. It's been pretty damn good too. Tony buys produce in there. I don't know about meat. They sell meat in there? Probably. I don't know. I don't know anything about that either. But yeah, and you talking about selling beer? They don't sell beer in our Aldis. I don't know. They don't sell beer. But that'd be kind of interesting. I'd be into that too. Brewdog. I know you told me that you bought. You're like a part owner in that outfit, or you bought some shares of it or something. They sell it around here. I haven't had it yet. I know it's a Scottish based. It's called Brewdog. I need to try that out. I will do that in your honor, Ian. I'll do that soon. I'll buy a 6-pack. I know they have it over here at our Garrity's. So I'll buy a 6-pack of one of their IPAs and test that thing out. So I don't know. We don't sell beer in our Aldi. I wish they did. I just go in for the fraudulent cookies. I haven't seen any scuba suits, but, maybe next time. There's a place called Ollie's here that sells, it's like I don't know, it's like a junk, it's like, you go in there, you literally don't know what they're going to have. It's stuff that's been discontinued and that kind of thing. I went in there one time. I don't go in there ever anymore because it's a depressing situation. Like, I don't know. I don't like those kinds of stores. Big Lots, Ollie's, those kinds of places. I don't know. They depress me for some reason. It's like it's stuff that it didn't work out, and then they're trying to sell it to us for cheap, So it's a bunch of failed stuff, you know what I mean? So I don't know. There's something about that place that depresses me. But I went in there one time, and they had full size Las Vegas style slot machines in there for sale, but they all had Japanese writing on them. They were Japanese slot machines, and I'm not talking about some toy. I'm talking about full blown casino caliber, So I don't know. Might go into Aldi one day and they have slot machines in there. I don't know. I haven't seen any of that yet, but I'm going to start going in there more. It's an interesting place. And Succession, yeah. I mean, I had a hard time with it at first. It took me a little while to get into it, but we're loving it now. We're deep into season 2, and the characters are fully defined. They're all despicable human beings. And every one of them, all the kids are like deeply damaged, and the dad is just like, I don't know, he's something else. He says he's from Scotland. That sounds right. He seems great. That guy's great. He does a great job with that. In fact, everybody does a great job in that thing. It's like whoever cast that show did a great job. But that show, I mean, it's starting to get better and better. I had a hard time with it at first. I'm like, I don't know if I like this. It's kind of dark, but not super funny. But now it's more funny, and it's definitely dark, but the story's getting better and better. Maybe I'm just understanding the characters better, but starting to really get into it. So I love it. It's fantastic. We're probably almost done with season 2. So we're going to power through those. We'll watch all of those. So, yeah. Thanks for the call, Ian. I appreciate it as always. Call me anytime you want. And you guys call me too, the rest of you. 570-290-8151 is the number. Also, if you want 2 of these a week instead of a measly one, you can do that too. Head on over to Patreon. That's Patreon, patreon.com/Jeff K. Sign up for a $4 or more monthly donation, and you'll get an extra episode every week. So if you're interested in doubling down on the Surf Report podcast, you can do it today. Patreon.com/Jeff K. And I would say surfreportpod.com as well. I don't know what I'm going to do with that website. I'm going to maintain it for a while, but I'm thinking about maybe consolidating everything down into the WVSR.com. More to come on that. But for right now, you can check it out over at, what's it called? surfreportpod.com. All right, we're at the end of this thing. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for listening and all that jazz. Until next time, which will be over on the Patreon side for patrons only. Hope you guys have yourselves a fine, fine day. I'll see you. Bye.
Fuck off.